All right, well, I'm here with Dr. Joe Ellington in New Mexico, Las Cruces, New Mexico. We've spent the morning out in the field and talking about all the things we have in common. Dr. Joe Ellington is an entomologist and by training, but you have a very interesting story, Joe, and perhaps you can kind of tell us your story of how you got to where you are, because I think that really gives us an idea of your thinking process.
Well, after graduate school, I went with Standard Oil, screening insecticides mostly, some herbicides, in the San Joaquin Valley. And the time Standard was pretty big in agricultural chemicals as well as Shell, several other companies. And I worked with them for 2.5 years. They were using intensive applications of fertilizers, industrial fertilizers, and pesticides at the time. And after 2.5 years, I decided something's wrong with agriculture, and I really didn't want to spend the rest of my life screening chemicals. So I came to New Mexico State University, worked the rest of my life on biological control. And after I retired, I've been working pro bono for 6 years on sustainable agriculture. So it took me about 48 years to understand what's wrong with agriculture. But basically, we've been working on summer cover crops and winter cover crops, trying to build organic matter in a natural way. And we can do it through intensive, sustainable practices in a year if we work this right. So I feel pretty good about it at this point. So, you know, doing that puts the profit back to growers instead of the big chemical companies. And we have a huge pollution problem, of course, with groundwater, tropical applications of pesticides in fields and streams, and the oceans, the Gulf, for example, and other areas that are terribly polluted from agricultural chemicals.
Okay. Well, let's, yeah, go ahead.
So I'm not a very fast learner, but I've gotten there, more or less.
Give us your perspective of how agriculture evolved, or, you know, you talked about it kind of went wrong at some stage. Can you give us an historical perspective of how that looks or looked?
Yeah, well, I think it came off the tracks when, after the First World War, when some of the big chemical companies had a lot of gunpowder left over and so it was high in nitrogen. They found that if you put it on the soil, it was really a wonderful stimulant to plant growth. But nobody thought about the soil at the time, so high rates of nitrogen, turns out, are toxic to the microbiome, fungi and bacteria in the soil, some of which are essential for breaking down large molecules to ions which plants can absorb. So that's normally a 3 or 4 year process to reestablish the soil microbiome, but I think if we do it correctly, we can do it in a year. And part of that is very often there's a drought of nitrogen to reestablish the soil microbiome. And if we plant cover crops in previous alfalfa fields, that's high in nitrogen, so you can get around that problem. And you could also put on low applications of synthetic fertilizers, not more than 30 pounds per acre, as a little boost, stimulant to get things going. After the first year, our experience is you're home free. And so you can grow a cash crop summer and put in a winter cover crop, peas, beans, vetch, and rye. Works good for us. Sudan works good in the summertime for building organic matter and adding nitrogen to the soil.